So yesterday, I took a mini deep dive into the Great Depression. I know. I could have been out doing any number or manner of things on my day off. But I said, Tim, everybody's talking about there's about to be some tough economic times ahead. A lot of people say we're already in the beginning stages of it. We got people talking about inflation, deflation, just regular assflation. I don't know. I'm not an economist, but everybody's telling me it's about to get crazy. So I said, why don't I look back at one of the craziest economic times in recent history, see what I can learn from it, so maybe I can pass on some gems, some jewels to the people. Actually, I'm lying, ladies and gentlemen. I was just sitting on my laptop perusing YouTube and it popped up a documentary on the Great Depression. It looked interesting, so I watched it. However, I did glean some of those jewels. I do have some gems. I've got 5 things I want to share with y'all that the people that were interviewed in this documentary and told their stories, most of them were kids at the time, but like when I was listening to them like tell their stories, there were 5 things that I'm like, oh, I think that could be helpful if we go through something similar. I'm gonna share them with y'all, take them for what they're worth. These are just my observations. Let's get right to it. Number 1, the people who didn't have all their money in the bank fared the best. A lot of people said we lost everything, but we had an uncle who didn't trust the banks. They still had money. They got to keep their house. We had to go stay with them. The people who did not have all their savings in the banks fared best. I'm going to leave that there. Y'all can have a discussion about it in the comment section. I'm going to leave that there. If you had money outside the banks, you did better during the Great Depression. Number two, and this one will probably ruffle a few feathers. The people who didn't have all their money tied up in the stock market and who hadn't bought stocks on margin did better. The people who had all their money tied up in the stock market lost it all. I think it's just a little lesson on, watching where you invest your money, especially in tough economic times where things get real wonky, especially if they're non-physical investments. Y'all have that in the comment section as well. Number 3, and this is one where it definitely hit me. I'm looking at myself on this one. The people who did the best were people in kind of rural or country areas who had farms and grew their own food. The people who had chickens and cows and goats and oats and barley and wheat, or the foods, all the foods. The people who had those did best. Because for, a lot of people back then and now, like myself, I have to get money and then I take the money to go buy food. If the money dries up, I can't get no food. And that's what happened back in the Great Depression. But the people who had food that wasn't dependent on money were able to eat that food and they survived. So something we all can think about if we ain't got no farm. Moving on. Number 4, and this kind of ties in with the last tip. One of the things a lot of the people who had farms and things like that said was that they helped each other out. It was community. And that's not to say that the people in the cities didn't come together and help each other out, but the people in the farms definitely said there was this big sense of community. If I had chickens, the chickens would lay more eggs than I could eat, so I'd give them to a friend. They might give me some milk. They helped each other out. The people who had a sense of community, even the people who, lived in the cities or the areas and they're like, yeah, we got kicked out of our house. We had to go stay with our family, had to go stay with blah, blah, blah. Everybody was helping each other out. And that's how people got through. So I think a sense of community is huge. And so if we are about to go into some tough economic times, I think maybe we need to look around and see who our community is. Find one, join one. You know what I mean? Reach out to good friends, family members maybe we haven't talked to. We might need them or they might need us. Okay. Number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, number 5. Mobility was very important. That's something else I learned was that mobility was very important. The ability to be able to go other places. Very important because a lot of people where they were at, there was no work. no jobs. They had to hop in the car. We've all seen The Grapes of Wrath, but they had to hop in the car, go somewhere else where there was work. Very important. Okay? Like that was how a lot of people survived. So just keep that in our head. Even if it's not as extreme as, putting all our possessions in the Volvo and driving cross country, we just may need it in our heads that if things get a little weird where we're at, there might be jobs. And I've actually been saying this forever, that there's jobs in a lot of places that people don't think about. But just realize, if the economy gets super rough in your area, you might be able to move, go somewhere else, or take some time, go somewhere else, make a little money, work, survive. Number 6, I said there was only 5, but I'm adding one more thing I learned. Entertainment got people through. Entertainment. Everybody talked about like going to the movies. I think it was like a penny back then, which that probably also would buy you a steak. I don't know. But the movies were like a penny and everybody wanted to go to the movies. Like entertainment, they like to go to like the vaudeville shows. Entertainment got people through. I don't know why I wanted to add that to the list. Maybe because I kind of consider myself a bit of an entertainer. And so I'm like, hey, Tim, ramp the funny up. Ramp the entertainment up. If it's about to get crazy, people need to laugh. They need to be entertained. But, don't be afraid. If things get a little wonky, get a little rough with your monies, with the economies, to still enjoy yourself in life. That's all I got for y'all today. I'm going to be in the comment section. Let's talk about it. I'll talk to y'all later.